It's time for a checkup from the neck up. Hello, my friend, and welcome to the 240th episode of the Sales Podcast. I'm Wes Schaefer, the Sales Whisperer, your host. The previous episode, I hope you got it. If you did not, go check out Batya Maman. She is from Israel. She immigrated here when she got married. She ended up in a divorce, single mom, and because she did not yet have her citizenship, she couldn't get a driver's license for 3.5 years. So she's a single mom trying to provide for the family, couldn't drive, and yet she made it. Her story of perseverance and creativity and ingenuity and stick-to-itiveness is inspiring. I'm happy to call her a friend. I've known her for years, and she shared a lot of good information, specifically around social media marketing, which is her area of expertise. But she's a great business owner and entrepreneur with a great story overall that can benefit you and anyone, regardless of how you use or misuse or do not use social media. So check that out at thesaleswhisperer.com/session 239. Today we have a friend of mine, Chris Bolger. I met him last September at a workshop. This dude, he walked up in a suit and went right into a handstand. One of those like gymnast moves, right, where their feet are out in front of them, and he moved and rotated through into a handstand. I mean, it was impressive. But this dude was homeless as a teenager, as a young adult, and got his act together. He went deep inside and got his act together by getting his mind straight. He got his mind straight. He got his body straight. And now he's the holder of 2 Guinness Book of World Records. Interesting guy. He's been to our home, worked with all of my family on our thinking, on our physical attributes. I don't know how to put it. Worked on diet with all of us, my children, my wife, me. So very interesting dude, very humble. Great salesman though. He shared some great stories when he was here with us, and my 18, almost 19-year-old son really got a kick out of hearing some of the stories, how Chris would get his foot in the door and make a sale. So you're in for a treat with this episode coming up. As I mentioned on the last episode, make sure and check out the offer from my buddy Jay Hunter with VA Staffer, thesaleswhisperer.com/VA Staffer. He is offering 4 free hours with his assistants, and then if you enroll through that link, $100 off their services. So you need to get out of doing these $5 and $10 and $20 an hour menial tasks. You need people to help go through your email, right? Set your appointments, do silly graphic design and stuff. Outsource the little things, okay? It's the only way you're going to scale. So Jay's offered a great service. I've known him for quite a while. Just hung out with him in San Diego at Traffic and Conversion. Motivated dude with a good team. And he flies over to the Philippines several times a year and meets with his people. He's got an operations manager out on the East Coast. Actually, I think she's in the Bahamas. So you get better support here in the U.S. and coordination, but you get the service and the pricing and the dedication of the Filipinos. So I've had a Filipino assistant as well. She was full-time with me for many years, part-time with me now. But when I first hired Anna years ago, man, what a break it was. Then I hired a local assistant as well to handle my calendar and speak with clients. And, you know, she learned Infusionsoft for me and now HubSpot. But having somebody take the little things off your plate, and eventually they can take big things, right? They can book your appointments. They can book your travel. They can process orders. They can fulfill orders. And as you begin to outsource these little things, then it becomes almost a game, like addictive. Like, what else can I get rid of? You as the owner need to be the visionary. You need to have more time with your feet on your desk staring out the window instead of grinding away. Okay, so check out Jay's offer again, thesaleswhisperer.com/VA staffer. And as I mentioned last time too, man, I'm still beating myself for not mentioning this earlier. bestcrmforme.com is a free survey, little quiz I've had for, I don't know what, a couple of years. It's been probably my top lead generator, my top visited page. And it's a free tool that I give to help people. I've bounced around between like 12 questions up to 26 questions, but it's just multiple choice. Either way, it only takes a couple minutes to answer. But it goes through everything you think that you want or need in your sales and marketing automation platform. And I ask questions that you probably haven't thought about. I ask about, your online store, either currently or what you want to do. I ask you about your affiliate marketing. Do you use affiliate marketing? Do you use direct mail? Do you use SMS marketing? A lot of questions that I've learned since 2007 doing this type of systems and going all the way back to 1994 working with databases when I was still in the Air Force. So take the quiz, and then if you still have questions on either how to get more out of your current platform or how to choose the right platform, after you take the quiz, you can sign up for a free 15-minute consultation, and we'll dive into what you have, and I'll help you, tune up what you've got or make a best decision for yourself and your business and your goals on what to move into if you need something else. Okay, so best CRM for me. Now for you, I bring Chris. Chris Bolger, the man, the myth, the legend, hypnotist, fitness guru, overcomer of adversity, all the way from New Jersey. Welcome to the Sales Podcast, man. How the heck are you?
Hey, Wes. How you doing? Thanks for having me on.
So, you and I met back in September. And
correct.
Man, even after spending a week with you, we'd only scratched the surface. Then you came and hung out with my family for a week. But for my listeners that may not know who you are and what you do, would you mind take a minute or two, give us a little thumbnail sketch, and we'll dive down the rabbit hole?
Sure. Well, I'm a peak performance consultant, which consists of all kinds of fun stuff. But aside from that, I'm a corporate trainer, author of 3 books, breaker of 2 Guinness World Records for strength, and janitor and CEO of Guinness, New Jersey, in New Jersey.
All right. So, all right, tell me that again. Peak performance consultant, author, breaker of 2 records. What else?
Author of 3 books, soon to be 4.
And
janitor and CEO of Guinness, New Jersey.
All right, we'll get into peak performance a little bit. So I know people are listening saying, breaker of 2 Guinness Book of World Records. What the heck is that all about?
Okay, so I was going through a rough time in my life.
And so you decided to set a world record. That's what I do when I'm going through tough times.
Yeah. You know what? You know what it is that, I'm the kind of person where when I go through adversity or somebody or something happens to me, I don't lash out. I don't make my life any worse. I'll go inside, I'll put my head down and just hit the grindstone and do some work. So in this one particular situation, I'll just say that I was in a relationship, a long-term relationship, and then when that ended, I just hit the gym, and I just hit the gym every day, and I had no goals. I just, I'm just going to put my head down, take care of the people in my life now, and work hard, and that's it. So after months of working hard with no goal, no expectation, you keep your head down for too long, and then you wind up surpassing what normal was for you at one point. So after right before that, I broke the first Guinness World Record. It was for dips, most parallel bar dips with a 100-pound pack under 1 minute. And then when I looked up the record was 28 reps. Now, for me with that weight, that's my second set on any given day. And I was like, oh, crap, look at that. So I go in and I break it. I do 33. And then someone comes to beat me, does 34. I come by again and do 35. And for me, it was a game. It wasn't even hard.
But people that are listening, I mean, you are what, 5'10"?
Wish. I wish I was 5'10". I'm 5'7".
5'7". Okay. And what, 160 pounds?
150 on a wet day.
Oh, my gosh. All right. So 5'7". And 150 pounds, and you're doing dips with 100 pounds on your back.
Yep, for more than anyone in the world, technically.
And so this isn't classified like by body weight. This isn't like a featherweight division. This is just so if some big muscle bound dude weighed 300 pounds, he could go for the same record.
Yep.
That ain't right.
Hey, life ain't fair.
So let's talk about this though. So you were going through a tough time. Now a lot of people, when they're going through a tough time, especially in a relationship, become self-destructive. They'll drink, they'll party, whatever. But you took an opposite approach and worked on yourself, at least physically, right? Was that by design? Was it just accidental? Was that the only thing that you had in front of you?
No, it was.
How'd you decide that?
It was a bunch of things. I noticed that. I'll tell you later about this, but I was homeless about 10 years prior to this. So that was back then. I went through another hardship, and that was when I realized back then is that you can thrive or you can deteriorate during an adversity if you make the decision first. So coming through this would be my multiple hardship in my life, part of life. And so when this whole thing went down, I knew I had a choice to make really quick, and I had very little time to think about it. So I had to choose: am I going to be self-destructive and have to, get emotional about things, or am I going to put my head down and just do work, and then eventually come up for air, and then when things are okay? So I went the bad route before, wound up being homeless for a couple of years. That sucked, and I don't want to do that. I didn't want to do that again. So I get very emotional. That's my downfall, and I know that for a fact. My weakness is my emotions. So that can either take me way down below in the ground, or that can put me way up to the heights. So this time around, I chose, let me work really hard, funnel all my emotions towards work. And two of the main avenues of work during that time was working out and creating a product for my audience.
Okay.
Now, I was creating a protocol called the Pure Focus Protocol, which is a 5-layer state of mind that helps someone achieve peak performance in their emotional, mental, and physical state. So I needed a guinea pig to use it on, and I decided to use it on myself.
Oh.
So I said, if I'm in the state I was in, stressed out, somewhat traumatized, depressed, anxious, angry, if I can get this to work for me in that state, then it'll work for anybody.
Right.
So that I tailor-made it for the special population of persons going through hell. And I did. And after 3 months of working on it, I thought it would take longer. No, it took 3 months. I would use that, and I would go into the gym to work out, and I would far exceed my own expectations every time I touched the weight. And my diet wasn't perfect. My sleep schedule sure as hell wasn't perfect. I was not the category of the perfect healthy person. I still ate good and stuff like that, but you couldn't keep me away from ice cream to
Right.
save anyone. Staying up past midnight, staying up past 2, 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes, having nightmares, waking up at 6. So with all those other variables not taken care of, all I had was this Pure Focus Protocol, which was taking me through a deep level of hypnosis into 5 of the best states of mind I've ever been in my life.
Right.
And then just going to the gym, and then very joyfully just doing my thing. And the pain I felt working out was way less. The stress response was way less. And the results I got were way more.
Now, so the people you're working with on this peak performance, is physical exercise one of the core components?
Exercise is one of them. I also started using this for people getting better at sales, people going on dates. So anywhere where there's mental or physical unrest, you can use this because it's tailor-made to fit the person. So for example, if you use this for sales, or let's say you're going to go on stage and you're not sure about the topic. I know you wouldn't do that, but let's say somebody else does that.
Yeah.
Doing this before going on stage would put you in the right mental and emotional state to perform at your optimal.
Okay, so you developed the process and then tested it on yourself in the area of physical fitness. So your goal was to improve in that area, and it worked. But you're saying if somebody is weak in any area of their life, they can follow this process and improve.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. Because I was just wondering, because like for me, physical fitness is important. It and not just for the sake of doing it, but it's, I always tell people that your emotions follow the activity versus the other way around. People are like, well, when I feel better, I'll do this or that or the other.
Yep.
When I get my script together and get my computer and my business cards and all this, then I'll feel like I'm ready for the job, and then I'll start making my prospecting calls. It's like, no, pick up the phone. Make the prospecting calls. If you want to be a professional salesperson, do what professional salespeople do, and then you'll soon achieve the results of a professional salesperson, and you will then feel like a professional salesperson because you will be one. Right? So I was wondering, how much, like in any of these areas, if somebody, for sales example, if somebody is struggling with sales, do you have a physical fitness, training, dietary regimen that is part of this, or was that just coincidental that you just started on yourself physically?
Yeah, I just started on myself. I chose the realm of working out. But you can use the same thing to handle your own money. You can use the same thing to get better performance in sales too. For example, an entrepreneur or someone trying to be an entrepreneur in the beginning, every little thing seems to be this big ass fear, right?
Right.
And I've had clients too in the very beginning of doing online coaching. It was like, I had one guy, the guy makes $250,000 a year offline, just as in his regular business, but wanted to be an online entrepreneur of sorts, right? And I said, okay, cool. First homework assignment, I want you to make 30 videos about anything. And he never did this homework assignment for the entire year of coaching. And there's nothing I could have done to make him do it. He was like, yeah, I'll get to it. When I'm ready, when I get my camera. He spent money. He got an $11,000 camera. He then bought a teleprompter, which I told him do not get. He got that. It's made of fighter jet glass, just in case you're wondering. He renovated his whole house by hand. So after a year, he had fancy stuff and a brand new house ripped out from the inside out. But he just couldn't get those 30 friggin' videos done, which he could have gotten done in 1 hour.
Yep. So people let any little thing stop them if they want to, right?
Absolutely. They could be making all the money in the world, and they still need something else to move forward, and it's nuts. Because, you hear guys like, who was it? Was it Eben Pagan? It was somebody else, I think. But they started making videos with a flip phone camera duct taped to a refrigerator box.
Yeah.
And that's how they started. And you know what? That makes perfect sense. Sure. That is how you get started. You have a capture device, doesn't matter what it is, and then you make the damn video and you post it. No matter how horrible it is, you just keep posting it until it gets better.
I've told so many people. Friend of mine, she has competed in bodybuilding competitions. Single mom. She was kind of struggling. I actually saw her at the gym in tears. And she had a trainer, and they were just right next to me. And so we just started talking. What's going on? Blah, blah. And I got to know her. And I told her, just bust your phone out. Bring your kid in. Hold the phone and, make 100, 2 or 3 minute videos on here's a tricep workout. Here's something you can do for shoulders. Just show the range of motion. I said, walk through every machine in this gym, and film a 60-second to, 3-minute video, and you'll be famous. Good-looking woman, and she never did it.
Because it was too good to be true. It was too easy. And it meant drastic positive change in her life that was unknown to her.
Yeah, and conversely, so I just started doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I am sore as hell. By the way, when are you coming back? Because I need you to work on me. Oh, my God. Dude, my hands hurt. My ribs hurt. My shoulder hurts. Both elbows hurt. And my left knee hurts.
Oh, jeez.
And I'm going today. But anyway, so like all weekend long, I've been watching videos. And there's this one guy. His name is Chew Jitsu. So it's like Chewbacca because he's got a big beard. And his logo is like Chewbacca, and it's really cool. But he just has a bunch of 5, 6, 9-minute videos. And some of them are just him talking, just addressing like a mental issue or whatever. But then in his tutorials, he just shows one move, right? Here's how you execute one move. And it takes 5 to 7 minutes. And not a big deal. He's got a training partner, right? He'll show it multiple times. He'll show it from multiple angles. He's like, there you go. Good luck. Go get him. And just so fundamental. And this guy's a black belt, right? He's been doing, I think, 13 years at least, 13 or 17 years, because some of these videos were a few years old. So to him, that would be boring, right? I mean, this guy has forgotten more moves than I've seen. But now I'm a fan of his because he took the time to make dozens, and I don't even know how many, probably hundreds now, but at least dozens of 5-minute videos showing the basics. But people don't do that. Why do people think they got to do this phenomenal stuff to achieve phenomenal results?
Well, there's two parts of that. The first part is, and I think Les Brown said this. I heard Les Brown say this, and I was like, you know what? That's right. That's what it is. That's one of the things. It's people are more comfortable with known hells than unknown heavens.
Mm-hmm.
So doing things differently just feels weird, like that's the scary part. That it doesn't hurt. It doesn't feel different. It's weird, This, and then the next thing is they're not in the right state of mind to even start. They have the decision, but they have to come with the right state of mind. For example, when we met in September, we were at an event that you got to have a lot of skin in the game because it really is too easy to just implement. If you have skin in the game, you get it's enough to get you beyond the fear of the unknown heaven,
right?
To take some kind of action. And you know what? That's how it goes too. I used when I started making that course, I started the Pure Focus Protocol. I would use it on myself for corporate things too. So I wanted to become a speaker, and I wanted to do corporate trainings with the decade of experience I already had. So I was looking online. I was looking at all these different rules I had to follow. I had to have a YouTube channel. I had to have a book. I had to have a $10,000 suit. I have to have connections and and so many years in Toastmasters. And I said, you know what? Let me use my Pure Focus Protocol and just see what happens. Let me see where it takes me. And for me, using it for corporate, it brought me to this very relaxed, very playful, yet serious and bold person, like this state of mind.
Right.
And I would literally kick the door open to these buildings and say, hi, you don't know me. You're about to. And that's how I would get my first few gigs. I had no online presence. I had no book. I had nothing.
Yep.
I had a Microsoft Word document typed up of relevant accomplishments so I can kind of funnel them into some kind of service because I had no idea what the hell I was doing. And I had a $100 suit, tailored very nicely though, so it looked kind of decent.
A tailored $100 suit? Is that like putting like leather seats on a Yugo?
Yeah, it is actually. It's kind of it's very similar to that. And then I realized by just doing it one time, even though I got rejected the first time, I wasn't scared at all.
Right.
I mean, it was intense. It was still super intense, but it was controllable.
Right. And
like I said, emotions are my weakness. Emotions control me like more than I want.
Right.
So all I can do is just redirect my emotions in a way that serve me. That's it.
Well, so, I want to be careful, though, because you said something right after that Les Brown quote that, get in the right state of mind. But like I said in the beginning, I'm a big proponent of just get started. And in the process of doing, you'll achieve the right state of mind. Was that your experience? I mean, you kicked in the door, said, here I am. Would you say the attitude then followed?
Absolutely. In fact, there's a small adrenaline rush. And then once the painkiller effect of adrenaline kicks in, you don't give two craps about anything. You just do your thing, and you got this.
Right.
And no one can tell you that. No one can teach you what's going to happen next. It will happen. 100% of the time it happens.
Yep.
But like even my first speaking gig, I walk into the room, I couldn't believe I'm getting paid for this. And I'm like, oh my God, they're paying me $9,000 for this? Cool. So I get there. I couldn't sleep the whole night before. I had like a neck ache. I had stress tension in my neck, and I couldn't sleep. I get there. I put my suit down. I put my jacket down. I had 3 minutes to get on. It was only 30 people, but it was 30 corporate people. The CEO's there. Like, I'm like, holy crap. And I'm just some kid. I'm just some dude. I'm like, I can't believe they hired me. Like, how the hell did they believe me? Mm-hmm. And I get in there, and once that first 3 minutes happens, after 3 minutes, the adrenaline calms down, the painkiller effect is there, and I own it. And I gave them an extra 3 hours of my time.
Wow.
And afterwards, they said that they hired Tony Robbins, they hired Kyle Maynard, they hired the Happiness Project. They hired everyone. They paid $1 million to John Maxwell. They hired me, and they said that I over-delivered in both charisma and in information. Mm-hmm. Whoa. I was like, you hired Tony Robbins, but I was better for you guys? And they're like, oh, my God. They're so much more responsive here. How did you do this? And then I realized something. It's pretty easy. It's pretty easy. And it was in a corporate building. I just stayed in that building all day. I went up and down the floors, making contacts, saying, hey, you don't know me. I just gave the best seminar of that bank's corporate life, and you're missing out. And they were like, who is this guy? Why is he so ballsy?
Yep.
But really, I'm just being playful. I'm just hanging out. I'm just doing my thing. I got nothing to lose. There's no pain or loss in me being a goofball in a suit on the 11th floor at Microsoft. No big deal. And then I realized that's all it took. I still have like barely any online presence, but I got a pretty good thing going on Snapchat. What I do is, whenever I have a sales objection, instead of me trying to figure things out, I record the whole process and I let my state of mind take over. Mm-hmm. And there were times where a company would stop calling me. They would email me and say, hey, listen, we're not going to move forward. And I'm like, damn, I got to put food on the table. I'm going to go down there unannounced with a box of donuts wrapped in a nice little red bow and say, hey, I have an appointment at the front desk. Bypass security. I'm going to bypass their secretary, and he's going to be so shocked when I'm sitting in his office right before his lunch. And he was. And he was like, how the hell did you get in here? And I recorded the whole thing on my Snapchat. And
that's awesome.
Some sales professionals reached out to me, and they were like, that was awesome. That was cool. So I just started doing more of those things where I get an objection, I show up at their house. I bring toys for their kids. I'm very playful yet bold, like I said in the beginning. I come with a very playful and bold mindset, and they're looking at me, they're like, this guy's a psycho. But I'm a good psycho, and they always wind up moving forward with me one way or another.
Yeah, everybody wants to use that as an excuse, right? Oh, I'm still working on my website and blah, blah, blah. And like in all of my training, right, and Make Every Sale course is just centered around getting you centered, right? So you're present in front of that prospect. Don't have any lines memorized. You don't have to follow this thing like a robot. Just be present. Look them in the eye. Listen, ask good questions, be confident, and people are drawn to confident, bold people, right? That are not show-offs, that are just there, that you're inquisitive. I always say strive to be interested rather than interesting.
Absolutely. And you know what's funny? Oh, man, I'm so glad you said that, because there are so many, and this is another emotional aspect of being an entrepreneur and in sales too, is that sometimes we just talked about people that are getting into sales and getting into entrepreneurship. But then there's also the entrepreneur or the salesman who's comfortable in just one aspect of what they do. And they want to expand, but they just can't because they don't think twice. For example, I know somebody who liked making YouTube videos, liked being a speaker, but couldn't reach corporate because it was just a whole new category of people. And I said, dude, it's actually easier in corporate because you're still selling hot dogs. It's just a more expensive hot dog. That's it. So get your butt in there and do the same crap you do on your YouTube videos, and you'll be fine. Still hasn't done it.
Ugh.
Still hasn't done it.
Well, the other saying is, anything worth doing is worth doing poorly until you master it, right? Everybody thinks they got to be perfect, and it's like me in jiu-jitsu, right? Little bitty guys. On my very first day, there was a dude, we're friends now, AJ. I think they said he's 62 years old. He's probably about your size. He's around 5'8", 5'9", if I had to guess. 160, 165 pounds. Tore my butt up.
Oh.
Okay? I mean, because he has the technique. He has the skills. He has the experience. But to me, it's worth it for me to get better, so I'm willing to be bad. Right? Yeah, until I get good. Everybody just thinks they're going to snap their finger and be good. And it's like, no way, man. Anything you see, LeBron James makes it look easy, right? But that dude practices a lot. Yeah, he's got some physical gifts, but he practices as well. And so you got to be willing to be bad before you can be good. And that's, I think ultimately that's where people like you and me come in handy, right? It's just holding people's hand, encouraging them, saying, "Go, get up, do it again. Get up, do it again." And until it starts to work.
And you know what? I think what got us where we are at now with that mindset of being not just doing it for ourselves, but doing it for other people is that we just had this simple realization. You tell me if I'm wrong or not, but we had this simple realization that everybody has a similar problem. It's just whoever's taking action, they just get it.
Yeah.
They just wind up getting the thing that they're after. So it's like the Matrix. It's like everyone says, "Oh, I know, but I'll get around to it. It's just so stressful." Yeah, okay, let's acknowledge that going into a new situation is stressful. Great. Now that we expect that and we're looking for it, and when we see it, we go, aha, there's the stress.
Right.
That's part of the process. If that's part of the process, why aren't you running towards that?
Right.
Because that's the way. The obstacle is the way. I've heard someone else say before. But, that's what it is. People are afraid of getting rejected. But, I've had clients that want to approach women, and I say, okay, the first hour of today's session, we are going to go and get rejected on purpose. And they're like, what? And I go, watch this. I said, I'll go first to show you this. I'm like, right now my heart's racing. It's part of the process. I'm shaking. It's part of the process. Point to a woman, I will go up and say hello. And I will get rejected on purpose. And this is what happened. This happened 4 years ago. There's one particular client who claimed that getting rejected is the worst thing ever. Like, no. Pick a girl. I'll go get rejected right now. Okay. Pick her right there. I'll walk up to this girl, say, "Hi, excuse me. Can you just reject me real quick because I'm trying to prove a point to a friend?" And she looked at me like shocked, but said, "Oh, you're so funny. What is your name?" And I'm like, "Oh, come on." I couldn't fail that whole day with approaching women. I couldn't fail,
right?
Because I was so ready for it. I had nothing to lose, and every woman saw that, and they were like, "That's different." The fact that I realized that I couldn't fail, even when I wanted to, it kind of sucked for my client that day, but he eventually got it, and now that's his pickup line. "Excuse me, can you reject me?"
Well,
he'll get rejected once in a while.
I know deep down you would whisper at people, and you told them that you knew me. You said, I'm friends with the sales whisperer, and then they wanted to know you, right?
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, can you hook me up with him?
That's kind of tricky.
How do I get on his podcast?"
That's kind of tricky. I mean, I did think it was kind of weird you walking around with my T-shirt with my face printed on it. How'd you get that done? Was that at the mall? You can't be doing that, man. It's kind of weird.
No, photo draw.
Photo. Nice. I interviewed Jia Jing back on episode 37. And that's exactly, it's called Rejection Therapy. And you should go listen to that.
I will. That's writing it down.
He got super popular on YouTube because what he did, his story was that, he had started a business and it failed. And he really felt bad, and he was ready to turn it all in. And his wife's like, "Hey, you made a goal. You're going to go, I forget, like 6 months or something, whatever. Like, stick it out." And so he realized he was afraid of rejection. So he did 100 days of rejection. And he filmed himself. Like he would walk up to people, just a stranger. Hey, can you give me $100? Another guy, he's like, hey, can I pump your gas? And it may have been the first one, or it was one that took off. And he walked into a Dunkin' Donuts and asked them, and it was during the Olympics. So this was, 5 years ago or so. And I forget exactly, but it was during the Olympics. And he said, yeah, I would like some donuts in the shape and color of the Olympic rings. Right? And this lady went to town and made them and gave it to him for free.
Wow.
And that's when he realized, he's like, oh my gosh, there's something to this. So he went out seeking rejection, and that's become his life now, is teaching people, coaching them, to not fear rejection. So just like you, right? He just went out asking crazy things and succeeded. Just get out there and do it.
Just ask. Yeah, just get out there and just put yourself out there. I mean, just people think you're putting yourself in the chopper, right? Or the guillotine by stepping out there. And yeah, you kind of are, but the guillotine is kind of fluffy, so it doesn't hurt that bad. It's actually...
What? No, sometimes it is super sharp, and it still doesn't hurt that bad. It's a clean cut.
All right. Sometimes it gets pretty awkward, but all you have to do is laugh about it and say, "Wow, isn't this awkward? This is going to make a great story."
Well, and especially when you're banging out phone calls, if you're calling into B2B, which still works, and I've had many people on, and it works, and I'll be linking to. Finally getting around to launching my new podcast on CRM Sushi Podcast, and talk about technology. But this guy used artificial intelligence to analyze phone calls, okay? Whoa. And B2B calling does still work. But the thing is, when you call companies, and they're rude and they hang up on you, they don't remember you. You can call a week later. They don't know. So if it's a target account, if it's a big, ideal type prospect or customer you'd like to land, put them in your tickler file, call them every week, every 2 weeks, whatever. They won't remember that you called, and eventually you'll break through. But you got to be willing to roll with the rejection.
Oh, so. Yeah. And then it's also just the timing. You can sometimes you're just not in the right place at the right time. Other times you are, but you'll never know unless you take action. There's a time where when I was first doing speaking gigs and I was first doing coaching, I got really big name clients really quick, and it wasn't decades of nose to the grindstone. It was just having conversations. I was in a coffee shop in my own town, my 3-mile square radius town, and this woman sitting there, and she was just a woman, just maybe like 48, 49 years old, and I was taking notes on writing my second book. And it was going to be on social situations. So I walk up to her and I say, hey, obviously coffee shop. Hey, what are you drinking? Durr. Oh, I'm drinking coffee. Oh, that's cool. Interesting. When I drink coffee at a new coffee shop, I always get the cafe mocha because if they screw it up, I still have a cafe mocha, but I'll never come back. If it's great, I'll always come back because it's cafe mocha. And I love cafe mocha. And then all she said to me was the word coffee. Oh, coffee. So I sit down right next to her. I own my space. I sit down without permission. And because remember, all she can do is say, go away. And that's not that bad.
Right.
So I say, hey, you seem pretty outgoing. Let me ask you a question. I'm writing my second book. What would you like to learn to do socially that you don't know how to do yet? Or what do you know how to do that you wish you had the guts to do?
Mm-hmm.
And it turned out to be, I want to communicate with my boss and this and that. And it turned into a mini coaching session that I could help her out with. And she said, well, what do you do for a living? Are you like a life coach? And I was like, oh, no. We don't do life coaching, okay? We do something much more powerful. And
everybody's a coach now, right?
Yeah, it is. But you got to differentiate yourself. So for her, what I did was I gave her the solution, and this turned out to be a pretty good scenario. She wound up signing up for my coaching program. By the third session, I got to ask her, I said, well, what do you do? What company? And I don't want to give her name out, but that got me working with corporate, like C-suite employees with Nestle, Pfizer, Staples, Starbucks, NYU, Stern School of Business, Princeton University, Columbia University, really quick, like within a couple months because of her.
Right.
And she's just a woman in a coffee shop. But I would have never known that unless I approached and just had a conversation.
Right. So
and
simple.
Like that, it's as simple as that.
Started by asking a question, right?
Yeah. That's it. I said,
ask a question or pay a compliment. It's the easiest way to walk up and break the ice with anybody.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I was in a coffee shop, another coffee shop in California. And you know who's next to me? You're not going to believe this.
Barack Obama.
The guy who invented the mountain bike.
The mountain bike?
The mountain bike.
Does he have a shirt that says, "Hey, I'm the inventor of the mountain bike"?
Nobody has a museum named after him in the town he lives in.
Wow.
That was pretty cool. And there's something. Oh, I was at a bar. This was Super Bowl Sunday. This just happened. I'm in the bar, and I'm just sitting there. I'm getting there for the wings. And there's a bar I used to bartend at when I was like 20, 21 years old, 22 years old. And I saw a guy there that I remember. I said, "Hey, you! I remember you. You came in a little while ago, and you told me about wine. You changed my life when it came to my perception of wine. Now I love wine. I just came from a winery in Temecula. It's amazing. You should check it out."
Yeah, you were drinking wine with some cool people, weren't you?
Oh man, celebrities. I was on cloud nine. So I start talking to this guy, and I noticed that his arm is limp. Now the thing is, I do this thing called neuromuscular reprogramming. You might you know this now, but I rehab people's bodies back to health pretty quickly, and I see his bicep is not working right, and his whole shoulders, he can't lift his arm. And with it, I said, "You know what? Here, hold my beer. Let me fix that."
Hey, Bubba, hold my beer. Watch this. That's another story. Okay.
And I go right into fixing it, and he increased his range of motion like 80% within 5 minutes of me working on him. And he just happened, I do this all the time, but he just so happened to be one of those guys who was blown away by it. He was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing. What did you do? This is incredible. Seriously." Great. My gift to you, because I love you. And just so happens this guy works for the King of Morocco. So guess who I have a conversation with this week? The King of Morocco.
That's kind of cool.
And I was sat there, and when he left, I'm sitting there, I'm drinking a beer, and I'm just like, wow, how the hell did this happen?
Yep.
It happened because I was nervous to talk to this guy. There was no one else to talk to. I wanted some kind of conversation, so I put myself out there. And my goal wasn't, my goal is never to look for more clients. It's never to get more money, things like that. It's, can I have a meaningful connection where we both win from it?
Well, and you probably didn't care what the result was.
No, not at all.
You're not showing up. Yes, ultimately we need sales. We need people to sign up, blah, blah, blah. But any one human being is not going to wreck my day or my life. Right?
Absolutely.
Just engage.
And
Put yourself in a situation that you can win. Right? And that's what you do.
Absolutely. And go for your own enjoyment. And go for your own playfulness.
Right.
Don't go for like, I got to land this thing. I got to land this gig. I got to make this work. I got to make this happen. Mm-hmm. I need a good interaction, a good connection at the networking event.
Yep. It's
like, you know what? Screw the cards. Screw everything. Let me find out who they are as a person. And let me connect at the deepest, the thing they can't protect or fabricate.
Yep.
And then if they appreciate me for me being altruistic, then whatever happens, happens. And usually you get way more than you expect without even having to ask. But it is still good to ask.
Yep. Yeah, and I get into that. I've written about it extensively, and in my training, I tell people, salespeople, their number one job is to prospect. Sales will happen if you do the work, if you put yourself in a situation to find somebody with a need, with an itch that you can scratch. And it really is that simple. Doing webinars and direct mail pieces and social media and email blasts and trade shows and all this other stuff are just ways to put you in front of buyers. So you got to prospect. I always say people don't do business with you for one of two reasons, right? Either they haven't heard of you or they have. And that's it. So make sure that they hear of you, and when they do, it's a good thing. All right, man, final question. imagine our listeners, they're jogging, they're on a plane, they're driving, they can't take notes right now. What do you want them to do as a result of listening to this? What can they remember, as soon as they get to their desk that they need to do, that they can do right away to straighten things out in their business, in their life, what have you?
Go have an awkward conversation.
Nice.
And enjoy it. And sit in it. Sit in the mud and just be dirty for once. Just love it. You can get clean afterwards. Just sit in it. Just when things get really awkward and they look at you weird, just be like, yeah, there it is. You know what it is? There's a meditation class I took a long time ago, and you paid $100 to sit in the room with this guru, and you would just sit there and meditate in being in the moment. And it was in New York City, so there was a fire station across the street in this warehouse, and the windows were wide open. Half an hour into it, fire engines go off, and everyone starts, what the hell? Oh, damn it! And they get pissed. 20 minutes later, it happened again, and everyone's like, "Come on, I can't concentrate." And the guru sits up and he's like, "What's wrong with you people?" He's like, "You paid me to come here to be in the moment with me, and you're ruining the moment. Or are you?" And he says, "You all hear the fire truck and go, 'Oh no, it's the fire truck, no.' You should be saying, 'Aha, there's the fire truck.' That's part of the moment. Not your expectation, of course, but it's part of the moment." Mm-hmm. It's awkward conversation. When things get awkward, things don't go the way you planned. That's the way. That's how it was going to go. There is the learning experience. Oh, I'm so glad I did this,
Right.
Very have the awkward conversation.
All right. Something deep to leave us with. I will link to you. You are building out some new online media assets, but I will link to your Facebook profile, Chris the Hypnotist. Any other place we should be pointing them to? Or is that a good place to start?
If you Google me, or if you search for me on YouTube, Chris Bolger, as is, you're going to find a plethora of fun information and videos and insights that some of which you will not be able to find from anyone else, anywhere else. Very nice. That's why we had you on the show. All right, man. Chris Bolger, all the way. It was a pleasure. All the way from Jersey, baby. Forget about it. Go stop. All right, man. Thanks for coming on the show. All right, take care. People are more comfortable with their known hells than their unknown heavens. Man, I've seen that in golf forever. I've experienced it. I've seen it. I see it in sales training, marketing. People revert back to whatever it is that they know, right? The devil that they know, instead of the devil that they don't know. And we fall into these traps, these routines, because we don't want to grow. And it's our lizard brain that slows us down. Literally, our lizard brain, the oldest part of our brain, it's not evolving as quickly as it needs to help us adapt in this current environment. But the lizard brain said, hey, this cave that I know, this little fire that I know, this is all safe. So don't go out and explore because there's saber-toothed tigers out there that are going to eat me. So stay here. Meanwhile, there's heavy rains and a flood's coming, and you get drowned in your own cave because you're too afraid to go out and explore new things. The biggest risk nowadays is not seeing the change that's coming and adapting to handle it and to take advantage of the things that's coming your way. So you hold on too long. And, that's the good and the bad, right? Yeah, it'd be great if things were perfect and smooth and comfy all the time, forevermore. But our competitors have the same obstacles and the challenge. So if you can beat them by a minute, by an hour, by a day, by a week with something new, something better, beat them by a month, by a year, right? I always say selling is a zero-sum game. If you're 1% better than your competition, you get 100% of the profits. You do that long enough, you soon will not have any competition. But you got to stick with it. You got to keep going.
I was at jiu-jitsu yesterday, and I told my buddy, he's been there for about a year. He's a 4-stripe white belt, so he's close to his blue belt, which is respectable. A lot of people get to blue belt and they quit because they're like, okay, I'm accomplished. I know the fundamentals. I'm solid. But I said, man, I'm tired of failing. I'm tired of making the same mistakes. I've only been going, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. And he said, dude, you're not failing. He said, you're just learning something new. You're learning what not to do. And it's true. It takes a long time for this to sink in. I mean, jiu-jitsu is like life or death chess. You're rolling around with guys that have the ability to kill you if they wanted to. Certainly inflict life-altering injuries to joints. So you're putting yourself in their trust. And so the moves and the counter moves and the counters to the counters, it's literally infinite. You can roll into something, you can roll out of it if you know, but it takes so many repetitions. It takes so long to A, learn them, and B, know how to apply them at the heat of the moment, right, when it matters. And so the same is true in business. I mean, you're constantly evolving. There's new things coming out, but the cool thing is the fundamentals never change. The old adage that you must enter the conversation going on in the mind of the prospect never changes. The number one, cardinal sin of marketing is being boring. That never changes, whether you're sending out a radio ad, a newspaper ad, a tweet, a sponsored post. You can't be boring. So the fundamentals never change. How you apply the fundamentals to new technologies like Snapchat or whatever, yeah, that changes. But that's a technical thing. You're working on the medium, not the message. Okay, the message of your business doesn't change. Now, over time, sure, you may tweak things. McDonald's, has apple pies and now they have coffee and gourmet coffee, if you can call it that. They sell more chicken than Kentucky Fried Chicken. So they've evolved what they've done, but still, they find great property, they find great real estate, and put something on top of it to monetize that real estate. It just happens to be a fast food joint. So that fundamental never changes. What they push through that fast food joint evolves a little bit in response to the market. But, the fundamentals just don't change. So what are you crowding your mind and your brain with? Is it noise? Are you focused on the wrong things? Get yourself centered. Get your emotions under control. Use them appropriately. Use them to your benefit. Right? Just like jiu-jitsu, you can roll with a bigger guy. But when you see their weakness, if they do something too aggressively, you can use their momentum against them to reverse it. Just yesterday as well, a new white belt, he joined with me, an older guy, but he kept wanting to push against me. And I was like, why the heck is he doing this? I'm like 60 pounds heavier than him, and he's 62 years old. So I'm 16 years younger and 50, 60 pounds heavier. And he kept pushing, so I let him push one more time, and I just slid back and let him fall. And instantly got him in a choke. Because he just used his momentum incorrectly. So you can use that to your advantage as well, right? Momentum is working against you, or you can use it for you. Get your head screwed on straight, right? Work on this focus protocol, like Chris talks about, pure focus protocol. Get your mental and physical unrest under control, and things will start working in your favor. And again, you'll hear me talk more and more about jiu-jitsu. They talk about, when you get pinned, when you get somebody on top of you, you got to control your breathing. You got to relax. You got to be patient. Too many people try to go too quickly. Instead, be calm. Stay calm in the heat of the battle and let your opponent get frustrated and make a mistake, and then use that against them, right? Use that, their own momentum against them to win. So a lot of analogies in there, but I think you get the point. You've been listening to this long enough. You know where we're going with the guests that I have on. but Chris is an amazing individual. I love his story, love his humility. His physical feats are amazing considering his size, right? 5'7", 150 pounds. He did all those dips with a 100-pound pack. It's just amazing. So the mind really can accomplish, or the body can accomplish, right? Whatever the mind sets its focus on. So get your head screwed on straight. One way to do that is to make more time to think, and you do that with VA Staffer. thesaleswhisper.com/VA Staffer. 4 free hours, then $100 off if you decide to use them. And then also, when you have the right tools, the right systems, the right processes automated, find that out at bestcrmforme.com. bestcrmforme.com. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe. That helps the show. Share this with a friend. Leave a comment. Visit the show notes. Ask me a question. Leave a comment. Lets me know you're out there. Thanks for listening. And remember to sell different.